This is Today's Business Leaders. Actionable advice from real-world professionals. And now here's your host, Gabe Arnold.
All right, so on today's show, I have Jesse Miller. He is a longtime entrepreneur, consultant, and runs a quarterly mastermind in Vegas. So we're going to ask him about that. But we'll do the normal thing in the beginning here. So welcome to the show, Jesse.
Hey, man, thanks for me, Gabe. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, as always, tell us, when did you first realize that you were an entrepreneur?
I'd say I came to a little bit later than the typical story. I was probably 16 or 17 when I realized it. I had some trauma in early childhood that I had to fight through to be able to even understand who I was and that I was valuable. So once that stuff got cleared, it was understood. It was easier to understand that I was wired a little bit differently and that the typical educational settings weren't geared for who I was. So it was I came to it a little bit later than most entrepreneurs.
I don't know if teens is that late. So.
I just hear the stories of people saying they were 3 and they set up their first $1 million lemonade stand. So I don't have that story, man.
I don't either. Mid-teens is definitely where I started figuring that out. So was there a particular moment or time where you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur? Was there like a turning point, or what was that like?
You know, I can't say there was really anything specifically. No, I can't, man. I don't know. I can't just point to one moment and say, yeah, that was it. That was a moment of clarity. It's been a process. You know, like I said, there was some trauma in early childhood. Witnessed a lot of death. That piece in the household, and dealing with that was difficult at best. So anyway, once I got through it, man, it was pretty smooth sailing from there. I've always known I wanted to be a business owner, so I took some jobs working in less than ideal scenarios, and just in that process headed straight for where I am today.
Yeah. Do you think entrepreneurship is like inbred or genetic, or do you think it's situational?
I think that personality type has a lot to do with it, but I do think some of that is. Yeah, I think a lot of it's wired in. I think the best business leaders in the world were born with that DNA and that hardwiring for the way that they process life and information. What about you, man? What are your thoughts on that?
I never thought about it until you just mentioned like having a rough childhood or some stuff that went on there, because I experienced similar stuff, probably not near as bad as you, but I mean, I don't think I had the most ideal childhood. And I don't know if anybody does, but I think that drove a lot of where I am today. But I also would agree it's kind of like in your DNA in some senses. I was just curious. I don't know if I have the answer either.
No, I hear you. No, I think there's balance in it. I think our environment affects a lot of our personality, at an early age. And after you uncover that, I think at some point it gets set.
Mm-hmm.
They are. So.
Yeah, it's the nature versus nurture. I don't really know the answer there.
Yeah, I don't have the answer either.
I've read about it, but it still doesn't give me enough clarity to be sure. Yeah. Cool. So in your teens, you're like, well, I guess I'm an entrepreneur and I want to be a business owner. From there to where you are today, give us the short version of your history and kind of how you got here today.
Sure. So it didn't start with business ownership. It started working with business owners. It was most of the shaping points in my business career were working directly with the business owner. So I was general manager for a fitness facility a long time ago. I was the first student in my coach's boxing program that he was establishing. I was a production supervisor, first hire for some home builders. I bought a company that was in existence for 60 years. and doubled it in 1 year, and then had some good growth over the next couple of years. And then I looked at that theme, and it was always that I was working directly with the business owner, and I got to understand, what makes a business work and what makes a business fail. And that's in a nutshell, what got me to where I am today.
Very cool. So you mentioned you bought and doubled a business, that's a nice accomplishment. When was that?
It was in the early 2000s. So I want to say it was 2005 was the year we purchased it. So it was, all it came down to was hard work and focusing and, understanding, hey, look, this person's going to benefit from this, and let's make them an offer. Really, really simple stuff, but it's all the simple stuff that trips most people up.
What type of business was it?
Granite countertops. So construction field, really interesting business. There's a load of intricacy to it that it's really hard to understand until you've been there. You start with an imperfect product, you bring it through about a 50-step process, you deliver it to the most emotional spot in a person's house, and to top it off, the average net profit in that industry is 6 to 8%. So just incredible, man. You have to do a lot of work to make a little bit of money in a highly intense industry. So the custom manufacturing world taught me so many lessons, and sitting under the pressure of needing $15,000 on Friday to pay everybody and keep everything moving and not having it in your bank account. You can't replicate that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a great point. So how long did you own it for? Do you still own it now, or did you own it?
No. I sold my shares 3 years ago to start building what I'm building today. It's been an incredible journey. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. So why do the simple things trip people up? Because I would totally agree with that. But I don't know if I've ever thought about why that happens, because it literally is the that puts us in the ground business wise.
Yeah, no, it's the concept is really simple. The application is very difficult. Most entrepreneurs are opportunity hunters, and the problem with opportunity hunting is you're often down something else. So things that look like they're a better opportunity always pull the attention away from the structure, the core, the focal points of what created the business and what's going to sustain it and what's going to actually grow it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And what do you think? Is there something that feeds into that mindset of like always looking at the next shiny object, the next opportunity? Is there something that feeds into that mindset that you're like, oh, if you just realize this, you would stop chasing something that at the end of that short rabbit trail, we're all a little disappointed?
I think there's a couple of things. The biggest factor, and it's so simple, but this is where all of my engagements start with clients. I ask them one question, and I don't take just a passed over answer on it. So if you can answer what you want and keep that in front of you, the opportunities that are less valuable tend to fade away. The second factor that I think is most crucial here is that most people are operating in a state of anxiety. They're constantly trying to put out fires. They're constantly trying to deal with the minutia of their business, and you can't do that because ultimately you just get caught in this loop where you're changing attention all the time. You're focusing on things that are less valuable than the most valuable things. So the best way that I've found to kill anxiety is to disengage for a little bit of time, and then come back to that question of purpose and mission. What do I really want? What do I really want? And once you can answer that and clearly define that and keep it in front of you, the opportunities are less and less valuable.
Yeah. How do you disconnect from that anxiety though? Because like I totally understand that, and sometimes I feel like I do great with it, and then sometimes I'm like, why am I anxiety? I have no problems today. So what is it like? You step away from the business, or how do you disconnect from that? Because that was stepping away seems to really scare me.
No, and it's a limited time. You don't step away. I mean, I'm not saying walk away from it for 3 months. I'm saying make regular time to disengage. And whatever gives you life, go spend some time in that. And then when you come back to it, you recognize the things in your business that give you life and spend more time and energy focusing on that. So it sounds counterintuitive, but it works. It's incredible, man.
It reminds me of like something simple that I think everybody would understand. That's like you can't work out 24/7, 365 at the gym. You would kill yourself.
Yep. Yep.
But if you do the right increments and then you take a break, or if you have a minor or major injury, you recover, like then you can go back to it. And yeah, I don't know why. There's definitely something specifically in American culture, but I think just in entrepreneurship, I think that sometimes we just think if we just push harder, we can get farther. That may or may not be true.
No, I mean, the gym is a great analogy for that. Because, typically when you're overtrained, and I know this from my boxing experience. I mean, I ran 5 miles in the morning. I trained for an hour and a half in the gym every day. At some point, you're just done, man. You have nothing else to give. And your burnout's there. You're more prone to injury, and if you think about it, when you're well rested and you engage, it's so much more significant what you do, because your mind is engaged, your body's engaged, and you're able to put more energy into it. So yeah, it's a great analogy for it.
Yeah. So when you're out working with people, do you tell them that they should just like step away for a day or two and like just go straight to it? Or is there a way to like work out of the work, maybe not workaholism, but like, is there a way to work out of the wrong end of that habit without it being super painful?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The crazy thing is what happens when you do this repeatedly and consistently in your business. What you'll find is a lot of the things that you're doing really don't matter. And what you do is you cut the things out that don't matter and you engage with the things that do matter. And I know this concept sounds really simple. It's not easy to do, but it's really simple when you think about it logically. When you disengage, the less valuable things become less valuable to you, and the more valuable things become more valuable to you. It's so weird. It's so backwards, but it works, man.
I've never dug into it really deeply, but I know you're right, because there was a period of about a year and a half where I didn't work Fridays.
Yep.
I only worked 4 days a week, and that was probably my biggest year of growth percentage wise. Like, we're growing a lot now, which is awesome, and I love it. But I keep considering why do I work on Fridays? Because that was not only did I have a 3-day weekend every weekend, there's nothing wrong with that, but it forced priority of what was really important. And it's, even though I did it and it was successful, I'm still having a mindset problem getting back to it.
Man, if you think about it from a marketing perspective, it makes so much sense. I mean, I know a lot of people, the focal point in business is money, but once you dig deeper than it, it's so much more than money. It's about freedom. It's about the ability to make the choices that you want, to live the life that you want. And if you're in that state, your message is going to attract those people, and you're going to create more freedom and liberty to do that. So that's the really weird thing about it. People more money's good, but everybody that looks at it accurately sees it as a stepping stone to freedom and the ability to live the life that they really want to. So, unfortunately, I see so many marketers get caught up in the hype and just promote more money. That's only the first piece of it. It's not. There's so little value in just money.
Yeah. No, I was talking about that yesterday, and money's great, and we all need money to contribute to things like that. But what I'm an entrepreneur is freedom of time, period. It's and I've been able to do that at less than 6 figures, at over 6 figures, at 7 figures. It has no relevance to the amount of money that I'm revenue or in my bank account. It's just well, I guess the cool thing to think about is I know that I could work a 12 or 14 hour day on Thursday if I wanted to. Not that I'm saying you should work tons of hours. And then I could not work Friday, and then I can make up for it Saturday night in 2 hours. Or
if it's even necessary. It may not be necessary, because you may get more done with less time, because hey, look, this is limited.
Yeah. I've heard people say too, and this is another good way to look at it, is that like if you think about when you're going on vacation, I'm going on vacation end of the month. It's like this month is going to be the best month ever because I'm going to be super productive because I'm leaving for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's knowing and then believing and doing are two different things though. So what's the bridge that we have to cross to get there? Because I don't know if I know what that is. It happens to me, but I don't know if I've broken it down.
It's consistently. Like I said, the big piece is the question: what do you want, and then keep it in front of yourself. Look at it daily. Like if you'll do that consistently, it's easier. It's so much easier to commit to the actions of creating what you want. It's so easy to write it on a piece of paper, put it in a drawer, and never look at it again. But if you look at it consistently, it just pulls our brain into the activities that we need to make it real. If you don't look at it, you don't think about it, it's not valuable.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit more about what you do now with Integrity Enterprises and what you offer. Cause I love, you always post awesome stuff online. That's why we're here today. Like we've never talked before today. So this is cool. But like your mindset's always good. Honestly, you are actually somebody that I just feel like actually puts really great value out there. And what you're talking about, I know is true. And I think it is hard to get there alone. So what do you do, and like how do people work with you, or how does the process work?
Yeah, first off, I appreciate your engagement. I put that out because I know there's a need for these things in the marketplace. There's so much hype. There's so much crap out there. There's so much just talk and very little substance. So thank you for your engagement. So what my process typically looks like is I work with CEOs specifically. Now, CEO, the way that I would define that is the biggest difference between a CEO and a business owner is that a CEO has more structure, more strategy, more consistent engagement. And so a lot of times I'm working with a business owner that needs that consistency and that structure. And so I just wanted to say that to clarify what I do. So all it is advisory. So we literally start with that question that I talk about. We get them to define what they want, and then we build the lifestyle, build the activities in and out of the company that are going to match what they want. There is some personality to who the most effective business owners are. I think there's a couple of variations, but it's a pretty consistent pattern. And so the cool thing with understanding that pattern is you understand the core drivers, what makes them tick, how they view the world, what the downside of the personality is. And most people love that we have a superpower, but we don't love that we have a kryptonite. And so I'll help them identify the places of kryptonite and then build some reinforcements in that. And that's been a lot of the initial journey and concept that I had was that the big stuff in business is making more money. And it's really not. It's about loving life and engaging in life, because the talent to make money is there for most of the business leaders that I work with. So we clearly define it. Their businesses do typically become more profitable because of the way that they engage with it. But that's not the primary focal. The primary focal point is bringing clarity and peace to them, and so that is coaching. It is advisory work. Sometimes I'm a sounding board. Sometimes I'm helping them drive business development. Sometimes we're looking at their team, saying, "Hey, are the right people in the right spot?" It's the concerns of a business owner. We'll work through that stuff and make sure they have a system and a structure in place that's going to support what they genuinely want versus what they think they want or what they're building without any aims.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think that's really well needed. You guys can all check out Integrity Enterprises. I'll put the link there in the comments. And I think it's just important to realize, one, you definitely need somebody that understands what truly will get you to where you actually want to be. And we all get distracted, like you said, with money or problems or whatever. I think that's really key. And the second piece is, if you're not paying for outside advice, you're missing out on having some of the most powerful conversations with yourself that you can have. Because in a lot of senses, and you can tell me disagree, Jesse, but I think that when we bring in coaches or consultants or mentors, like part of it is them just guiding us through that conversation with ourselves that we haven't focused in on having.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to be the least valuable piece in this. All I want to do is lead a human to who they are and help them understand that and embrace it and embody that. And if I do that in my advisory work, I've done a great job.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, so everybody, I'd encourage you definitely check out what Jesse is doing, and work with him or work with somebody, because if you're not getting outside advice, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. I tend to kind of cycle through some different business mentors and coaches and people throughout the year, but all with the goal of like, I need outside perspective. I'm never going to grow my company if I think I can figure it out all on my own, because it's just not. Getting stuck in your own head is painful and dysfunctional at best.
Yeah. And it's so easy to do, that I think that's one of the big misconceptions about business. A lot of people get in business because they want valuable relationships, and all you do is build up walls in most cases, because everybody has an agenda when they talk to you. Your team, the people trying to sell you stuff, everybody has an agenda all the time. And if you don't learn how to balance that, the problem that it really creates, when you're guarded, is that you can't create emotional intimacy. And without emotional intimacy, you can't reproduce the mission or the vision that you carry in somebody else. And so, it creates some major obstacles to really grow in an organization.
Yeah, that's a great point. I remember who I was talking to or what I was reading the other day, but they were saying, like, if you just deal all like with the executive functions of your brain, then you'll never make a decision. But if you can get through emotionally to people, then they'll do anything for you and with you, and like you're actually communicating at the right level then. And that's what that reminds me of. You're totally right. It's hard to do that when you get too busy or too burdened down, or you're focusing on the wrong things.
Or you think somebody has an agenda and they want something from you that you don't want to give them. I mean, that's the barrier that pops up all the time. And the worst part is, if you leave that unchecked, it carries over into your family. And ultimately, like, the tragedies that I hear from business owners' kids are that, I don't like my dad. He's got to be drunk for me to want to be around him. I mean, I've had that conversation before, and there's no bigger tragedy in business to have your kids hate you. I mean, it's bad. It's not what you want as a business owner, because ultimately you have millions of dollars and nobody likes you, and that's a problem.
Yeah, no kidding. That's poverty.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time, Jesse. This has been a blast. I appreciate you sharing your value here, and like you do every day on Facebook. So everybody definitely check out Jesse and follow him. Go to his site. I highly recommend that you work with him, or like I said, at least somebody. But I really appreciate you being on today, Jesse. This is really valuable and fun. So thank you.
Hey, man. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Gabe. Love what you do, man.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Today's Business Leaders with Gabe Arnold. Remember to subscribe on iTunes. For more information, visit todaysbusinessleaders.com.